Hi everyone, hope you're having a lovely Easter. Welcome to the second video in our pre-release booklets that we'll be looking at. And this is, well, let's just have a quick recap actually of what we did before. So this was, the first thing was just looking at tropical rainforests and looking at some of the key things about distribution, climate in tropical rainforests and how they're structured, and then briefly why they're important as well. So there's all sorts of different things to taken from the first page, but a lot of it was very kind of factual information ultimately. It wasn't asking you to be too evaluative, which is kind of where, if we think about our learning journey, we always start with the basic content and basic facts. We start to understand them, then we do an evaluation. That's exactly what's happening in this booklet. So let's have a look at our second page. We've got deforestation of tropical rainforests, and it's asking us first of all to really take a bit more of a global view about deforestation and how much and where it's happening. Okay, so first of all, it starts with this really interesting set of graphs. And first of all, we look at forest loss in the Amazon rainforest from 2001 to 2013. And it asks us to look at Brazilian Amazon and non-Brazilian Amazon. So remember that the Amazon rainforest is not just in Brazil, it's all in those kind of surrounding countries as well. And you can see here that ultimately, from 2001 to 2013, the total amount of deforestation in Brazilian Amazon has decreased. Okay, and that has been through a really wide variety of political pressure and policy change to stop and to reduce the amount of Amazon being destroyed. Now, non-Brazilian Amazon has gently increased. Okay, but only slightly. All right, so it's over the past few years, there's been a little bit downward decline as well, but overall it stayed reasonably similar, or as a slight increase. Okay, so in a non-Brazilian Amazon. Now, if we take this over to the next image we've got here, change in annual deforestation rate from 2000 to 2005 versus 2005 to 2010. So if we have a look at some of the big hard hitters here, somewhere like Indonesia or Peru or Madagascar have had a massive increase in the amount or the change in deforestation rate. Okay, so increases in deforestation. You see that along a number of these countries along here. If we have a look on the opposite side, so change in annual deforestation rate, whether we've had a decline, places like Mexico, Laos, Cambodia, Brazil, Senegal, Nicaragua, and Cameroon. Okay. So we can just start to compare where's had the biggest increases, places like Indonesia, which I suspect will be for palm oil, but the biggest decreases in places like Mexico. All right. As we move on, we go into this small, it's almost as if it's like an excerpt from a publication, so that might be found in a magazine. And it talks about how deforestation is gone in potentially in the next 100 years we might not have any. That's true for things like rainforests, but also for things like glaciers as well. So at current rates, rainforests will vanish in the next 100 years. Tropical deforestation adds to the problem of climate change, which we know, and forests are removed, local people become impoverished and move to cities in search of work. We know that's reasonably true, but that's not entirely accurate, I would say, as well. So what to do? So Paris Climate Summit, all countries agreed to reduce carbon emissions, and 50 countries held the world's tropical rainforest proper to crack down on illegal forestry. That's our big problem, illegal forestry, and restore and replant millions of acres of forest by 2030. Okay, let's carry on. So places like Germany, Norway, and the UK have promised $1 billion per year to help this, and the World Bank's contribute as well. Part of this is intended to benefit indigenous forest communities, which have been the traditional protectors of the rainforest. Okay, so there's lots of support, or there's developing support, in order to crack down on the illegal deforestation, which is a real problem in certainly in the Amazon rainforest, but also across the rainforests in Latin America, Southeast Asia, and Africa. Okay, let's just move it on to it developing this idea that illegal activity is our big problem. So 50% of deforestation of tropical rainforests is a result of illegal activities, okay? And remember, when we see things like illegal activities, that it's non-regulated, and that means people who can just go for want of a better word, go wild with the amount of deforestation that takes place. Whereas in some parts of the world they have rules where if you chop one tree down you have to plant another somewhere else. If we have illegal logging activities, that doesn't have to be adhered to. Let's carry on. So if we look at legal ones, government-backed schemes are usually more sensitive to the needs of the environment and local people. Okay, and that's the most important thing. Remember, if we do have governments who want to chop down trees, remember that if those companies that work as part with the government, paid government, we get tax back into that system and we start to improve the lives of people. If we just have illegal rainforest, people just take that money and run. Okay, so we'll have a look at the final one. This is quite a quick run through really for this one, but we've got 4 different areas. Now, when we looked at Malaysia, we know, of course, palm oil was the big problem. Okay, and total forest loss between 2000 and 2012 was about 4.7 million hectares. So it's a big amount, no doubt. If we carry on, can you see it? Yeah, perfect. We have Indonesia, again, palm oil, big problem. Let's just use that key as well for... Okay, so pulp plantation as well. So we've got pulp and palm oil as the biggest things here. And we see illegal agriculture making up about 50% of the trees being chopped down. And again, illegal agriculture high here in Indonesia. But we can see actually, if we have a look, Bolivia is where we see some seriously high amounts of illegal agriculture, 90% there. And soy, so soy used in a huge variety of things, so like a little bean, is the main cause of deforestation in that area. Okay, Indonesia's forest loss is absolutely massive. However, not as big as Brazil. So remember, Brazil is a real key area for where deforestation has taken place. And in that 12 years, we have about 30.6 million hectares of land being deforested. And that is for, one of the big ones is cattle, okay? And the other one, again, is soy, okay? As certainly some parts of the Western world start to replace things like milk with soy, then that needs somewhere to be planted. And unfortunately, that means often rainforests are cut down. But also we need to remember the importance of cattle in the deforestation as well. Cattle, palm oil and soy are the big problems. Okay, that's quite a good one because we can go through it quite quickly. But we need to be thinking about, in terms of questions, thinking about describing what's actually going on in the places. Now, for example, forest loss in the Amazon region. We know that something's working in Brazil where they're decreasing the amount of deforestation. However, if we look across here, we can see that it's still the highest area of the past 12 years, or in a 12-year period from 2000 to 2012. But we need to start looking at some of the causes as well. So palm oil, a big cause, cattle grazing, and soy as well. Okay, in the next video, we'll have a look at this, the final page, which is looking at road development in the Peruvian Amazon. And we start to, as geographers, as we always say, we start to weigh up the positives versus the negatives, and what impact does it have on human development when we start developing some of these places, and what impact does that have on the environment as well. And that's ultimately kind of where we led for thinking about the decision-making exercise you have to make. Okay, as per usual, any questions, please feel free to email me or come see me in room 181. Remember, you have an exam first lesson back, so just make sure that you're well aware of that, and have a lovely rest of the holiday. Okay, bye-bye.